We'll open this.
I didn't know you were ready.
Born ready. All right, let's start our April 22nd Select Board meeting at 7:03. We have 3, 4, 5 recording devices up here, plus video recording. So, nothing else, we should be recorded in good shape. Warrants. Have you gone through that one?
I went through that one, yes. Want me to share this
Are
pile?
you good with it? Did you want to sign it while it was here?
Oh, sure. I think Ron looked at it too.
The winter roads makes it a little smaller, doesn't it?
Just looking at this, do we know what a big yellow bus grant is?
Big yellow bus grant. $200. Mary, do you have any idea?
I don't, do you?
I just hadn't seen it before.
Big yellow bus.
It says big yellow bus grant.
And it's under, Sanderson Academy Activities. Must be something that gets paid through the town out of that revolving activity fund that they have.
Maybe it's in here.
I guess so, yeah, that's another you did want it, right?
That's the
Sanderson, you would need
grant, so he must have his.
Right.
All right. I'll turn the pages quickly so you can see them. I'll go this way. I can pass them to you. Oh, whoever you I was just trying to keep them in order. Yes, I'm just going to turn these pages. Mary, I've got a question.
Yep.
I presume it says Whitney, maybe it's Faye?
Mm-hmm.
Sorting budget, so she helped put the books together? Making budget book?
She did some work on that. She did some work on town report,
And sorting,
some sorting and filing.
so sorting OML material?
Mm-hmm.
Sorting as in, we're trying to do something with it in terms of filing it, or?
We've just got big stacks of it, yeah, so
Put it
filing
together.
Yep.
Oh, are the town reports back?
Not that I know of, no.
Last year they were early.
Yeah, they're supposed to be in the report.
Last year they needed somehow get in here somewhere.
What's the primary?
That's the 30th.
So they should be in for, they should be in for,
For the primary, we certainly hope so. And I did send you an email on that. On issues raised by the fact that this room will be set up for the primary by Monday.
when did you send that?
I sent it this afternoon.
I don't see it yet, but that's all right. I haven't been alive.
And if I didn't send it to someone else,
They'll be surprised. So do we meet upstairs
well, it's a question for the board
if it's
to.
not cold?
Why can't we meet in the little room in the back?
And I think that you can meet in the little room in the back. I didn't see anything on the calendar saying that one of say, so. I did look.
You did?
I did,
Oh,
yeah. Right. I thought I'd kind of double check with the boards and committees that sometimes meet there on Monday, just to make sure somebody hasn't posted something and not written it down. But I believe that would be available.
Glad we had Tom buy that last $3,000 worth of sand.
Did we have to use some of that last storm? It was like icy, or if I remember, I remember coming home and they were plowing the state.
It is what it is.
We didn't get it, and we needed it.
That's right. I think today was the last day for Tom to get applications, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it was.
What's a tier hanging chair truck in brown? Oh, never mind, fire department. I thought it was
No wonder it didn't
in
have
here.
them.
I'm going, I'll have to ask Dell.
What was the one you were looking for?
Um,
I'm sure I'll find something in particular.
yeah, I was just gonna look, must be for the truck and then something about
This
it.
is all the truck, this is
Yeah.
right.
And what's the one I love it? 2,000. Oh, I think that must be from the
Okay.
grant for the fire department.
That's from LaBelle's for the
Right. It's the trailer for the pump,
For
or
the
it's the
pump.
pump?
For the,
Probably the pump.
oh, it's probably.
$2,600
Yeah,
for the
$2,600.
pump for the trailer. There's the roads, must be sand. Do you want these?
Yep. The only one I've got a question on is the one where, if I wait for you to find it, I have to look for it, and Ron will.
That's- Did Ron already find it?
What's this? Oh, the,
Here it is. Big yellow bus.
big yellow bus.
Yeah,
right.
right at the end. I've seen it.
Sanderson Academy.
So
Was that one you were
that's
looking
coming
for?
out of. That must be the school fund that they've got that coming out of. Because we don't vote any.
Floating pump. 2650.
$26.50 for the pump.
Yep.
To Frank.
That's what it was, floating pump.
And that was the 50/50.
Now, the other thing I was
Forest fire grant, yeah.
confused about was there seems to be more here for truck expense than I was expecting to see.
Why?
I thought it was in the vicinity of like 50 in my mind, so we did one.
Well,
So
This is about 50.
maybe we've only paid 35 the first
And
time, which
this-
would account for
This
this.
is, we are expecting that this is the last warrant before the truck is delivered, so a check will be held for when the truck is delivered. Talking about the fire truck?
Yeah.
So what was it split into 4 payments? 3 payments?
Three or four, I don't know. But I do know that they're expecting it to be down before another warrant, and when it's delivered, you get your final check.
So obviously, based on this, we had
Oh, and
not
there
yet
was
paid
one-
100.
Actually, there was one that, maybe they thought they had sent, and then sent a past due notice, but they hadn't sent it, so they sent it at
Okay.
the same time.
Okay, well, this one's invoice says this must be the one you're saving, 45,542.
Probably, and that will just be held until the truck is here. And that would be the final.
I think they're coming up next week, or it's
Yeah,
coming down.
Yeah, 29th, I think. I know they are expecting to have it available to have outside at
Let's
10.
go.
Okay.
Looks pretty self-explanatory to me.
All three signed?
Almost.
Go. Back. Folder. There you go. All the warrants are signed.
And
Bills paid for another 2 weeks.
always good feeling. We don't have any minutes tonight. We'll have 2 sets at the next meeting. Or 3. Or 3, depends, right. If we include this one.
Yeah. There should be some minutes, ever so brief on when we meet with the finance committee. I think.
Yeah, there's two.
Wayne's not here. Wayne Gardner.
No, and I told him, he said he thought he'd be here, but he wasn't feeling well, and if he didn't come, that's fine. The change is really a change that this board asked for, and I think it's on page 5, is it? Nope, maybe 6. About halfway down, B, upon request of the select board, provide a certificate of insurance coverage. So
Yeah.
page 6.
I had an issue with that. That's not the right phraseology for that. It shouldn't be, that could be interpreted as 1/3 of a million.
Yeah,
And our insurance carrier has to tell us what that is. It's like 1 per incident, 3 aggregate, or it's general versus comprehensive, and there's a standard nomenclature. But they need to give us that, as opposed to us just sticking that in there.
yep, I thought that was different from
And
what I had given to them, and I thought maybe they knew something I didn't, so.
Well, I would think our Maya insurance representative would tell us exactly what.
Oh, he did, but actually what he used was just 1 to 3, a 1 to 3 million policy, so I'll see if there's a little extra language.
Yeah, I don't think it was the range 1 to 3. I think it was.
No, it wasn't the range, it was a formula
Yeah.
that they used.
We just need to get that in.
He
here.
stated it that way, but I'll see if there's a more
Okay.
articulated formula for
Yeah.
it.
And if that was the only change, then I think we should just get that right and
Yep.
come back again.
And what'd you say?
Was that the only change we asked for? It seems like it was.
Well, and also, I think that there be, and I haven't actually even had a chance to look at this, I think it was that the amount be increased and that they see something that says the town is on an insurance rider. So I haven't looked at the language here. Yeah, and that names the town as additional insured. I think there was one other change, but it wasn't one that the board asked for. I'm not sure where it is, but Wayne said it was in here. And it has to do with people needing to make separate or specific arrangements if they want to use the committee room. So in some cases it will be approved and some not.
Is the not for alcoholic beverages in a municipal building a town bylaw ordinance or a state type of? I'm just curious.
Where are you seeing that?
Just on the page that they signed, it says there'll be no alcoholic beverages. I just didn't know if that was a town bylaw or something that we did for our buildings, or maybe the state dictates that for all municipal buildings?
I
And,
would think our insurance carrier would dictate some of it.
yeah, I
That makes
don't
sense.
know that it's
Okay.
a bylaw or a law, but it is the
It's what we do.
group decision.
It's what we do, okay.
Mary, I noticed on the last applications that we received at this table, that the fire chief signed after we did. And my question is, shouldn't we be the last signature?
No, he always, because he goes in 2 to 3 days before the event. You often see it well before the event, so people can publicize or make plans. He has to go in 48 hours or so, just prior to the event, to do a check,
Okay.
just before they go in.
Just the same as your Board of Health representative has to go through if they were serving food to make an
Yeah.
inspection,
Okay.
just the day before they do it.
That's fine. Makes sense, I guess.
So if we can just get a hold of our insurance representative and get the proper wording on that, could we approve this application with it?
My only concern was that I thought we said that last time and it came back 1/3 of a million. So I thought that's what we said very clearly. It's an important issue with me.
Yeah, I don't believe that we approved it pending that, we told them to bring it back to us.
Yeah, but it did come back.
That, instead of sending it back with Wayne, I was thinking that we just had
Mary, I'd be
take
okay.
it
I can
and
get
get
the,
the correct
I'll
wording.
get the correct
and
language, I'll get it to, I think it might be Nancy who has it on her computer, Nancy Garvin. Get it changed, I'll look at it,
I wouldn't mind getting a copy so we see
and
it.
then bring back a copy, but doesn't need to go on the
Yeah,
agenda.
is that
Yeah.
fine?
Yeah.
That's fine
If
with
you're
me.
comfortable.
So I'll make a motion to approve the draft of the town, the application for use of the town hall, pending the correct language on the insurance coverage.
And to, okay,
Item-
I'll second that.
Item D
Sure.
on page 6.
Yes, on page 6.
I'll second that.
More discussion?
Yeah, we just need to take draft off the very first sentence there. Obviously, it says draft to be approved. And what do we do from a protocol point of view, Mary? Do you get a Word doc of this so that we always have current electronic forms
I've
somewhere?
had one in the past, I think you have one too, we each have one so we can print it out.
But this is, for example, this is the 4/22nd version, and you'll have the most current version of these just for safekeeping, right?
Right.
In case Wayne's computer goes down or something like
When,
that. Well, it's important.
right.
I wonder if item 8 on page 3 at the top is perhaps, is that the item maybe they added? About chemical sensitivities and fragrances and stuff in town hall?
No,
No, that wasn't it, okay.
That was in,
Looked
that
like
was
it
in
was
there, that was,
squeezed in.
yeah, that was in there before. This, as I say, is just about whether or not an event is using the committee room, because that's a somewhat separate set of issues.
Are we back there?
Yep.
Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Wayne can stay home and feel better. All right. How about if we polish the doorknobs on this budget?
I have a general question. Go for it. The police chief sent us this email saying he couldn't make it later. And yet we have other people like that with the superintendent too. So I didn't know what your opinion was on that. How, are we gonna say it's tough luck or
Well, I
try
mean,
to accommodate him? It's right at, he says he'd like to leave by 11 or
yeah, we could hardly get done saluting the flag by
11:30 to 11:45, he'd like to leave.
But if I wonder if we moved it right after the education. And
That's
then just
gonna be
let the
hot
rest
copy.
scroll down one. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant not number 12. Here we go. Oh, it's number 14.
Yes.
It would take it out of order from the rest. unless we move 8 through 11 after 14.
It kind of amazed me that the police chief, it just dawned on him that we have the annual town meeting the first Saturday of May.
Of every May.
Huh?
Of every May of every year.
That's right.
I thought the same thing.
He didn't have his detective hat on, obviously.
And as you're looking at it, Doug Field, who's the board's liaison to the senior center, had asked if maybe we could move that one up so that Kathy would stay here all day. Then Kathy from the senior center happened to come in while we were talking about it. And I was saying maybe I could look into it, but that it would be hard to move it up to the top. And she said that's fine, she would wait and come later. If you decide to move things around, it's just something you can keep in mind.
Well, I wouldn't have a problem switching 14 and 10. And to be honest, instead of changing the warrant that you've already got in there, we can ask the moderator to take them out of order.
Oh, then you could take both of them, you could get them first out of order after the schools, if
The
Kathy's
police,
here.
and if Kathy's here and we want to do that, I mean, we can always request.
Move 14 and 20, do them out of order. The only problem with that is, did they say at one meeting one time, not too long ago, that people figure they're going to be done in order, so then take them out of order, then they find they got there after? So, just throwing that out. Somebody who's
Who's
thought,
they?
the people who sit in the audience, because we'll be there at that time, right? So it's got to be the people who are coming for a topic of concern or of interest might judge not starting to be with us at 10.
Well, that's, you know, there's always a school of thought that if you have something really important you want to pass, is to have it after lunch. That's 3/4 of the crowd is left.
And I think I'm going to pull Kathy and the senior center out of that. She really did say she wouldn't mind staying.
She was
In
okay.
the interest of it not getting too confusing when she's on the floor.
I mean, we have to go to press on these, right? Pretty quick.
Yeah.
We're going to sign it. We're going to sign a warrant tonight.
Okay, so I think that's a good suggestion, because it would be subject to a vote on the town floor, right? Taking them out of order. So if we mess around with this now, it's going to affect, our nomenclature and with the finance committee and everything else.
I think it's fine. I think we'll leave it the way it is. When it gets closer, we can communicate to the police chief that
We're going to try.
we'll try. We'll try. It'll be up to the pleasure of the meeting.
Sounds like a plan.
Now, go ahead, Paul.
I had a couple of things.
I'm getting so I know it. There must be something on your mind.
I'm thinking we might have an issue if we leave something on the article with 0. I think I understand what Mary was doing, because that item had been rolled into something else.
Where are we talking about?
I'm talking about Article 12 and...
The special project, staffing project?
Another one. Lost one.
Oh, and
And there's the one...
office supplies expenses, right. I'll take those both out.
I think the 0 items have to come out.
Yep, I'll take those out.
But there was some others on another page.
I took those out.
Oh, you got those already, because like uniforms was 0.
Yep.
And-
Right, for the highway. We went over that last week.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't catch these on our.
And I did, and I thought, and then I was rushing, so I didn't take them out, but I can for the one you signed.
Okay. And probably on these wasn't, well, the office supplies is a little more critical. It was the ones that had the uniforms and everything, but I see that's why I can't find it, is because you already removed, there were 3 of them.
So.
And now tax title, I'm tempted to leave that in because that is one, the other two may not
Or just
ever come back, but tax title will be there and probably makes sense to explain that we don't need a tax title
Well, we
appropriation.
have enough money in there to carry forward.
Right.
To take care of it.
Right, but what do you think about leaving that there with the zero?
That
The
sounds
other
fine.
two,
What's the purpose of tax title?
If-
Why do we carry that line item?
When somebody gets way arrears in their taxes, and the only way is that we're gonna take title to the property and sell it.
So it's the cost of litigation and moving forward on that?
Right.
Okay.
One thing that we didn't address that we certainly intended to, I thought maybe we would get at it the other night with the finance, that was an excellent meeting with the finance committee. But we never talked about stipends. So if we want to, maybe on the worksheet that we have, if there are some, where it's highlighted on stipends, if we need to address those.
one that had occurred to me with the two members of the school committee, and I'm thinking Ron was on the board at the time that we had a conversation with them after last year's annual town meeting and discovered that sometimes she's at meetings twice a week. I mean, they attend more meetings than we do on a regular basis, and there's a lot of travel. And I just, if we were going to up it from, I don't know, 450 to 500, anything that would be helpful towards gas, I'm sure we would appreciate it. That was one that occurred to me, given the number of meetings she said that twice a week, back and forth
She
from
is.
rural Hancock.
Emily Roberts.
Because Karen was getting off in November. I think that's when we had the conversation last year. I may have gone wrong, but that one occurred to me as a possibility.
Do you have any feedback on that, Ron?
You know, I don't. I studied this a little bit at home, and, you know, I see stipends all over the place, so I don't really have the knowledge. I mean, when I look at our inspector of animals at $350, and I look at our town hall steward of $400, I don't know the thought process that went into even establishing them at that level. Seems like I see the town hall steward in here a lot, but I don't have any basis for changing it either. You know what I'm saying? It seems to me, well, that's my comment. I don't really know how to judge it.
I think the $450 stipend for school committee is appropriate for now. I mean, this just came back like 2 years ago. We went years since they were part of the Mohawk School Committee of not paying any stipends. And then I think when Norm was in here, it kind of got dreamt up that we need some stipend.
Is that enough? I mean, should it be 500? I mean, the price of gas has certainly gone up disproportionately, you know. They meet every other Wednesday, correct, Paulette? I believe, like the first and the third or something like that.
Right,
And then
both members belong to
Subcommittees.
subcommittees, budget and possibly another one, depending what they can arrange.
yeah.
There's got to be a facilities, so, I mean, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I mean, based on that, I guess I'd make a motion that we raise it to, what is it currently? Is it
450.
450? Do we raise it to 500?
The second.
Second. I mean, I certainly don't think that's out of the way. I mean, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. It certainly isn't. It isn't going to make them or break us.
Right. It's appreciation. And they're traveling. I mean, we're traveling here in town, but plenty.
So, all those in favor of raising the stipend for the school committee to $500 apiece for a total of $1,000, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we got that one out of the way. How about assessors? We good with that? It seems to me that it's I think it's fine at
Yeah.
1250 and 1500.
Yes.
Registers of voters. What's that? How is that paid? $50 to everybody, or?
Do you know the details of that? I don't know. I do know, I believe that Anne has said that some of the registrars don't
Take it.
take it. But I don't know how it's paid out.
Well, we certainly applaud that volunteer effort.
Yeah, a lot of dedicated people when it comes to the elections.
I would expect that if it needed to be increased, we would have got a request.
And I did ask her about it. She felt that that was
Okay, that's through the
what she
first base.
needed.
It's like 1 to 4 people or something like that.
There's 4.
4, that's what I
I
was
think
thinking.
there's 3 in an alternate or something.
I think that the next one that deserves some discussion is the town hall steward. $400 seems like it's, I mean, there's always something going on, there's always something to be checked on.
And he does take care of all the events, make sure the paperwork's done and
I
the
think,
hall's okay.
yeah, it's okay when it comes in and it's okay when they leave. And,
Did you
I mean, we
want to
could want to tell him that, you know, we would, whatever we end up increasing this, we could have increased it more if he'd finally get that handrail taken care of over there that he talks about every time I see him. I've got it, but I don't have it set yet.
Can you?
I don't have a number in mind. Do you have a number in mind?
I don't have a high end, but I would think as a minimum, $100 increase. And if I mean, it would be easy to justify a little more than that, given the amount of time he's here and everything that he takes care of. And we could raise it to 600. That's
Is that the
fine.
number you want?
I'm looking to
make
see
a
what
big-
all you guys want too.
I'd support the
Ron probably has some
500.
ideas.
I think that's
Yeah.
reasonable. Willing to consider almost anything. He is here a lot.
I don't have a problem with the $600. I mean, this is kind of like trying to search and find your way. We really haven't had a town hall steward that many years. What's this, like the 4th year, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. And it hasn't
And-
changed
It's a pretty important asset.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
mean,
he's been very responsive. I know that I've had an event upstairs in the past year or two. And he was here and he went down through the rules and he's good.
I'm in favor of 600.
you made a motion?
I make a motion, we increase it to 600.
Town hall steward, I'll second it.
Okay. Stipends, like other positions, is it's hard sometimes to segregate the position from the person. And especially since he's our first town hall steward,
Yes.
you know, what else do you have to grade upon?
Right.
I have no problem with the $600. I just wanted to mention that and saying that maybe the next town hall steward would have quite a lot to measure up to. So, all those in favor of $600 for the town hall steward, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, $600 it is. How about the select board? We all right with where we're at?
Yes.
Moderator, $100. I think it's been $100 since the beginning of time.
So the changes in order?
Well, if we're adjusting some, I'd change it to 100 and a quarter. I think it would be fine to, I mean, all it is a sign of gratitude and appreciation. So I would make a motion to increase that to $150.
Second.
Good. Good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
So what did we raise that to?
150. Fire chief, we're settled on that, aren't we?
And that one's August. Over the past few years that I've been on the board and watching from the audience, it was always subject to the 2%. So it's kind of a quasi-stipend and quasi-salary thing that happened for that. So the 2%'s been added as what it had.
Well, is it truly a stipend then? If we're given cost of living, we don't give cost of living increases to.
We give cost of living increases to two people who I think you could fairly say get a stipend because they're certainly not paid by the hours that they put in, and that would be animal control officer and fire chief.
Well, I think this is something we need to make a decision on. Either it's a stipend or it's a salary, and I don't know what the difference is.
And it's been
Yeah,
hard.
except-
It's been hard to pin, except they're given not on a regular basis, paid a couple times a year.
Isn't the difference that a stipend is for a volunteer? Is the fire chief appointed?
Yes.
Fire chief is appointed.
But other volunteers are appointed as well, aren't they?
Yeah. I thought that was the
We
case.
appointed the town hall steward.
Mhm.
I know in the warrants, it kept showing up, didn't show up as salary. But
No, I think we have to make a decision on what it is.
well, if we keep it as salary, then next year when we're doing it, if we're doing whatever cost of living we're doing, let's say it's 2%, that would be 2% on animal control and 2% on the fire chief's salary. If we ever want to make a change to that, we can change it, but for all the hours and stuff.
I really don't see the fire chief's salary as being stipend, and I don't think it makes any difference tax-wise.
I don't think it makes a difference.
It's over $600, they have to get a 1099, correct? I think it's 600.
I like the idea, I don't know, of fire chief salary, police chief salary. There's some consistency there. Even though.
I will comment one way or the
So why don't we just
Go with salary.
go, you have some input on this, Lynn?
Well, I was just curious if the reason they may keep it separate is because he does get paid when he goes to a call along with this, I believe. I didn't know if that's maybe why it was kept separately.
Well, there's always been a fire chief's salary. I think we should just strip stipend out of the worksheet and call it what it is.
Call it
That's
salary.
Salary.
Does he also get paid for going on calls? Because then it's not really the salary, right? But if what she says is true, say he makes an extra, $15 an hour for every call he goes on, then it's a salary plus an hourly rate.
$10.70.
And I just don't know the answer to that.
I think in some cases he probably does. I'm not sure he does in all cases, but I think she's right that there are some
Because-
cases when he goes and.
Someone would raise a point later, if we call this salary today, that, well, I thought your salary position, that means you take care of everything for that flat rate. So I don't really have the data to comment on that.
And I think that's partly why we've always said it's
Stipend.
part one thing, part another, because it doesn't function the way, say, a salaried position does.
It just seems to look better than
I'm just,
have a
I'm
salary.
not saying maybe, we don't have to change the title to salary, we can just have it under fire chief. But I
Eliminate
just-
stipend.
I just, on the worksheet, eliminate the stipend. If it's gonna be adjusted every year, stipends should only be adjusted like once every 25 years.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
All right. The next one, emergency manager, $300.
I think that should be 500 myself. I think there's a lot of work that goes into that. I don't know what you folks think, just kind of throwing it out here now, testing the waters. Without making
I
a
guess I
motion.
really don't know enough about it, to be honest. I mean, to see how much time is spent and so forth.
I've had the opportunity to check out the ICS certification, and it's a whole nother world out there, you know, this whole concept of public relation officer and accounting officer, and this stuff that I didn't even know that for incident command system, you know, and that falls to this person, to this position. And I can't imagine the time that would go in to write some of the procedural manuals and so on and so forth. And $300 seems really low to me. Just my personal opinion.
And part of it too, during the year, if you have no extraordinary events, it's fine, but when you do have one like Irene, it's just nonstop for a week at a minimum, and you can't be involved in anything else because you're up to over your head in the emergency.
Yeah.
So,
It's just a lot more than it used to be when we just had a civil.
Exactly.
What do we have? A civil defense director.
Right. Totally different. State regulations and requirements. I think 500 would be in order myself. If you're
Be thinking about the next one,
the next one.
the next emergency manager. I mean, be thinking about what it's gonna take to,
attract someone.
you know, $500 and I'm really gonna, you know, it's filling up my truck with gasoline 5 times,
Yeah.
maybe 6.
Yeah. So you're thinking it might be low? even
Oh, I'm
500?
not, no. I was thinking maybe we'd ease it up, you know, maybe go to 400, but there needs to be, I am speaking, when it comes to this position, I admit that I am speaking from a position of ignorance.
Okay.
It's not- You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, and maybe it's defeated, but I'll make a motion that that we raise the emergency manager from $300 to $500 stipend.
I'll second.
Okay.
I just remember Irene and the amount of time, even with all the volunteers, and then it kept going, and then afterwards. So one big event a year that takes your time is enormous, plus all of the items that Ron mentioned. There's a lot of time.
Well, the people that are doing these positions, you know, are certainly not doing it for the money, but
No.
if there is a lot of extra traveling and meetings to go to and information to gather, and certainly we've got a gentleman with a melodious Ashfield twang when he goes on the reverse 911 deal, so all in favor of increasing that stipend to $500, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Just since I said that, is there any fee that we missed for the reverse 911 in the budget, or is
No,
that?
it's in there, same as it was last year.
It's in there. Tree warden. $300. I don't really think it needs to be addressed because I think our current tree warden does most of his tree warden work while he's getting his highway pickup, getting his highway salary anyway. What do you think?
I don't know if he does that, but if you do,
I'm
Then
pretty
you
sure, well, yeah, that's what he's he's worried about is the trees that are next to the road.
What are we gonna give him his next problem?
So, I
Okay.
mean, it's,
I'm okay with that.
okay, we can skip it now. Inspector of animals. I don't think that needs to be increased a whole lot. There's less of that type of thing that needs to be done every year. Although there's another one that there's probably a whole lot more state regulation than there used to be, but.
What is the inspector?
When I did it, there were 17 barns that we had to go count the animals and go visit with, which was all right. That's fine. I'm
Okay.
right by now.
17 in this
There
town.
were when I graduated from high school, there were the milk truck made 17 stops in the town of Ashfield.
Tell me they don't count chickens too,
No.
oxen and things like that, right?
Large, horses, cows, beef and dairy,
Okay.
and
Sheep?
sheep.
But not pigs?
They might count pigs, I can't remember, there weren't very many pigs when I did it.
Who is that currently?
Kimberly,
Okay.
about a month ago, we had to appoint her because of the state said that's what we did. Board of Health. Board of Health, there's an elected board. You've got the select board and the assessors that have a higher rate for the chairman.
I was noticing that, that's different, and
And I think those are, I think there needs to be some adjustment in that Board of Health. I would move that, instead of having to make a separate line, right? When you go in to do the warrant, why don't we just do, seems to me it should be 3 at $750 apiece.
They don't have a scribe. So I was gonna say, if we're keeping the 3 the same, that would make a certain amount of, there's a chair and then somebody's the scribe and that's a lot of work, so.
So,
You were talking about the chair didn't have a different rate, and I was just saying that the way they divvy up the work at this particular moment, the chair isn't saddled with being the chair and the scribe, so they're sharing the duties. So you were saying 3 at a certain figure.
yeah, I was
Okay.
thinking 3 at $750, that would be.
2,250.
Does that sound appropriate?
Sounds fine to me.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Paulette, does that sound like it's in the ballpark for you?
Seems reasonable
Okay.
compared to, assessors and.
Right, I mean, it's still low. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous. Easy group to get along with tonight. I think that ends the stipends. How much money did we spend?
But one more thing, is that last week we had the gun permit stipend there, right? So that should start showing up as a separate line out of the police department, right?
And I think is it there now? Yeah, firearms
Fire-
clerk
fire-
stipend.
Exactly.
And where is that, what page?
Page 2.
Okay.
Page 2, fourth from the bottom.
Given
So
she's
12.50.
averaging 85 to 100 of those a year, I'm just asking, should we rethink the $300 to do that? I'm just asking the question. Because it's,
That's $300 more than she's been getting.
Right, but that doesn't mean that 0 was correct either. So I was just asking the question, that given the number of people that she's serving to do that task, and she meets them here at their convenience, did we want to revisit that?
She's meeting them here at their convenience?
Yes.
That's a problem.
She meets them downstairs at their convenience
That-
during the week.
That's a problem beyond what we can control.
But that's the service she's giving, that's all I'm saying.
So I think it's $14.50.
We spent $1,450. What did we do today to make that?
I would have to think for a minute. Unless I got it wrong.
We were all good with that firearms clerk last week when we were having the discussion. I'm fine with it.
I'm fine, I think breaking it out like that and recognizing it's a big step in the right direction and see how it goes. And perhaps in the future, there should be scheduled hours or 2 hours and not at the convenience. That's a nice thing to do it at the convenience, but might be more efficient doing it differently.
She said it used to be on Monday nights only, and it just didn't work for everybody. Most people couldn't
Yeah.
make their schedule fit that time, so maybe it works better for her as well, I don't know.
Well, it's the same as when we were talking about the town hall staff. You could be open 40 hours a week and it's not going to fit somebody's schedule. Right. All right, so we've got those. We want to go through the warrant, just to double check. I mean, most of you have had, I hope we've all had a chance to review it. At
So you have
least
2
one.
copies of the warrant, one pretty much as it would go once I make these changes, and then another one which
Has the motions.
places so we can figure out who's going to make the motions. I'll let moderator know and so forth. And I left some room between in case you have suggestions for things you want.
So which copy do we want
For talking points.
to review? If we're going to review one of these before she dolls it up,
Which probably should be the one that we,
that we're planning on signing.
yeah.
Okay. We'll go over that first. So I'm just, if you want to check them off, I'd like to check them off one at a time to make sure.
Sure.
So Article 1, that's, you know what that is, the ballots are hanging up on the board. So. We all set on Article 1? Okay. Article 2, it's pretty straightforward. Article 3,
Let me ask on Article 1 again. The last one is a finance committee member for an unexpired term, 2 years. We don't put that with the other one there?
no,
Okay.
because that's a
separate.
3-year term.
Okay.
It says the polls close at 6 p.m. There is something before this when the board announced that the polls are open at 10 before we start through the warrant?
No, they'll open with Article 1.
Okay.
When Article 1 is passed, that's when the polls will open.
Okay. So the polls open 10 a.m. plus, because that's what we do.
However long it takes for it to pass.
Article 3, that's pretty clear, that's Mass General Law. Is there a stipend for the constable?
I don't think so. I think you would see it here.
Does he get paid when there's voting by the clerk?
I believe so.
You think so?
What were the 4 hours that John put in for? Were those
That would have
highway?
been that.
Or were
Although
those constable?
sometimes he's
I didn't know if he was part-time highway or something.
John,
John Mabel.
the dump.
He
The
does
dump,
do
the
part-time up there.
The transfer station on Thursday.
Oh.
Yep.
You're right.
That's what it-
But I believe they do get paid for work.
And probably Betty will, she's the constable. Before, see if the town authorizes the town treasurer for money, that's cookie cutter, mass general law. That's so we can borrow operating money for the year. Five, see if the town votes to raise, that's our grader. Raise and appropriate $80,000 and transfer from free cash $55,000. And borrow up to $150 for a total of up to $285,000.
And the voting is a majority? And the article has to be voted by 2/3?
Yes.
The majority, the ballot, and 2/3
2/3 on the floor.
on the floor.
So the ballot is the majority. The
So it's
article is
possible you
2/3.
could get the 2/3 on the floor and it doesn't pass.
It's possible.
Yeah. Have you had, since we're on this one, I assume we can talk about
Sure.
this a little. Have you gotten any feedback from Tom that 285 is a safe number?
It should be fine, especially if when they apply against it any value, if we decide to go that way of
Selling the,
yeah.
I'm just thinking price of steel and such, everything's so volatile in today's market, makes me a little nervous to, I suppose we can always go to another STM if we have to, but I just want to know you talked to him about it. Good, thanks.
as confident as you can be.
And he's going to be prepared to
Yes.
stand up and talk.
Yeah, Marion already asked him to try to put something together,
Good.
so there'll be a handout.
It's important when they get this through that people have knowledge. Is he going to put something in the town paper or no?
I don't know about
Did you
that.
get a hold of
I
Faye?
did, and waiting to hear back from Rob about what the deadline is. Once I know the deadline, I can let Tom know too, if he has his write-up ready.
Okay.
Or we
It's
can
a
cover
small-
it.
It's a
in the-
small town. We gotta get a hold of Rob to go across the street. and-
That's a little hard sometimes, so.
He's working on the floor over there right now.
Oh, is he? Running over now?
Staying in it.
We can,
Tomorrow I'll be able to leave and go over and grab it.
Article 6. Article 6.
So this has to, school committee needs to change, right?
Right. But besides that, I hope that 320 holds. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't, but a lot of research, a lot more work's gone into it than I think has in prior years.
And that's going to put the finance committee in alignment with us, right?
Yes.
That 320. Okay.
Can I make an observation?
Go ahead.
Look at Article 9. You see how,
Okay.
I'm just looking at format. And it says, the Highland assessment, so on the left is description, on the right there's money. If that were only one line, do you see how it stands out? And I'm wondering with Article 7, it's got one of the biggest numbers, and for me, it's just in the middle of a sentence. And part of me wants to say, couldn't we give it a line like we do where we have multiples, so you really see it? It sits there, and it's more obvious. It doesn't change the number, but it's just how you envision it, or it's me. But I like to see that kind of symmetry, as well as it makes it stand out. You know what you're looking at more vividly than you do when it's in a fractional sentence.
The reason I thought, just looking at the format, Paulette, on that, was that if anything was a single number, it was included in the text. Whereas if it was a list, it was broken up this
Right.
way.
And I realized that. I was just,
Okay, I didn't.
yeah, no, I had noticed that every time it was single, but that's like the biggest number in
It's a
our
big
entire
number.
warrant. What do you think?
You know what I think? I think when you go update this, how about if you at least make that in the same size and bold like you have regional education expenses?
It's a good alternative.
instead of trying to reformat it tonight.
Sure.
Where-
That helps. Thank you.
Article 8 is 500 for the Historical Commission. 9. And these are all the things that we discussed earlier.
Now, given what you just said, do we want a bold historical commission in the 500?
That's
Just,
not really a big number.
no, I wasn't worried about the big number, it was just, if then the one, if we're doing it just consistently, that's all.
I mean, I certainly think when we're talking about 1,896,000, we can be bold.
A little bigger letter would be nice.
We can be bold.
Okay.
All right, Article 9. Not seeing any problem with that. 10, $3,000. That's going to authorize the select board to put up a small nuclear reactor down at the sewage treatment plant.
And somebody's going to explain this. After we left our meeting last week, Brian, you said there was one limitation in that it's a 20-year contract, and therefore the town during that 20 years, for instance, couldn't decide to put up a big solar farm up at the highway.
Well, you could, but it wouldn't make economic sense then, because we're buying most of our, we've contracted to buy most of our electricity from this place
For 20 years.
for 20 years. So the benefit of putting up your own PV system to generate electricity for yourself is gone.
But there's no limitations on anybody within the town doing anything?
No, this is purely municipal.
No,
Okay, thank you.
just the town
Right.
entity.
And I've also asked Betty at the sewer plant to write something up and as a handout.
Okay.
I'm going to work with her on doing that.
Oh,
Article 12, that's a long one, but
Change town hall steward
to 600.
and the
We
zero.
took out zero
office.
project and we're leaving it in for tax title and we're taking it out for office expenses. And we're changing moderator to 150 and then there'll be a new number at the bottom.
Where is the moderator? How come I don't, oh, there it is.
It's,
Go ahead.
well, the dedicated on the postage, I don't have a better word, but I forget, it's dedicated to town required mailings? Or state required mailings or something?
Treasurer and town clerk, they just have a couple of big mailings that they know how much it is exactly.
They're almost required as well, right?
Would you rather
It's-
see required there?
No, I just, if somebody asks, what do you mean by a dedicated postage?
Any other questions on 12? Comments?
No?
13. It's a good start. Article 14.
You have one change there, emergency manager stipends going to 500. And then the total change.
Do we drug and alcohol test all the employees that come to work, or only the ones at the highway garage that have to have DOT license?
I think it's only highway that I
It's
know of.
DOT. My experience at work is anyone who falls under the Department of Transportation, includes like pipeline people and stuff like that. It's a Department of Transportation requirement.
Does the police department have to do anything? Chief would know, I don't know the answer to that question.
Where I work, if you hire somebody to take out the trash, they have to pass a drug test before you hire them.
Well, we decided in fairness to all employees in our company that we're going to mandate drug testing for everyone. They are required, the pipeline guys, but it's for everyone too.
So that could change over time.
Yeah.
I mean, our line of $300.
I mean, most of our repeat stuff has to do with DOT.
Mhm.
Mary,
Mhm.
would it make any sense, since we're retyping and it's right above, see how managers abbreviated before stipend?
I just did that because and this is my own thing, so you all can tell me, you see how the one up in Firehouse goes to a double line? And in the middle of, along omnibus, if you start having some double and some not, it's a little harder to scan.
I was going the other way. Did you want to make the one above it be manager expenses spelled out?
Oh, yeah, for consistency, that would be fine.
I was going the other way.
Good idea. But okay to keep,
Or just spell out manager and take off stipend.
okay?
I don't, just
Anybody
throwing out
have any?
ideas. If you thought it looked nicer the other way. But it's
Why don't
also
you-
okay the way it is, so.
Yeah, I'm fine with it either way. I'm not. Could be in Latin as long as everybody understood it. Article 15.
On 14, we dealt with both the emergency manager, right, and fire chief. We're going to take off the word
Right.
salary. All right, just leave it as fire chief. Or no? I thought we kind of talked about that. I
I
don't,
listed his salary here on the worksheet, it was only fire chief.
right,
I think it's shown up in several warrants as
Yes.
salary.
Yes, salary,
okay,
I think for consistency.
all right. So you're gonna take these, Mary, and go into the other room and print it out again? Okay. I'm sorry, Tom.
Nope, that's fine. Do we have anything else on Article 14?
No.
Article 15, cultural and recreational expenses. You noticed how nice the west end of the park, the grass is really
Yeah.
greening up nice. It really looked beautiful yesterday.
It's all coming in.
Just because it's on my mind,
Mm-hmm.
that west end of the park is looking so nice, and the town common looks so horrible. And when they put that town common together, I think they put so damn many restrictions on it that we really can't do anything to try to improve it. It'll be interesting in a month to see how it looks, but it's,
You mean the quality of the turf?
oh yeah, there's no, it's gonna come in weeds, I know it's just gonna come in,
Gets up.
and it's just something that, we'll have it paid off, so maybe we could do something.
Does it need a different kind of grass that would stand this heavier traffic?
I think it needs a little care.
Yeah,
Because
And
doesn't it
of course,
get mowed by volunteers?
it is.
It does. It does, but it just needs, I think, probably it would benefit greatly from
Some nutrients.
some, right, all the stuff that I would reach for, you know, to control the weeds and maybe a little fertilizer and that sort of thing, but it's just something that, I think
It
it's
was
worth
actually-
discussing.
It was actually brought up during the year that I was here, that, I don't know if it was Todd Gary, but someone had said that it was in need of care. And
I mean, it's really thin. You know, when the grass starts getting thin like that, the weeds just,
It's too bad it couldn't benefit from some of Mother Nature's bovine product, but the aroma is
Yeah.
so
There you
intense
go.
downtown.
Put some critters on it.
just something. You know. Anything on Article 15? 16. We're good on that, grant, that's from grant program income. 17. Now, what was omitted on 17, and it was actually in the folder or a note or maybe an email last week. And Mary brought it to my attention after Wednesday night's meeting, is that Tom's thinking that there may be a need for another $15,000 or so for improvements to the transfer station after he gets done with DEP.
What kind of?
Well, for the monitoring wells and maybe dressing up that west slope, that northwest slope and that sort of thing. And I kind of made a unilateral decision that we would skip that until, my position on it is we'd skip it, take it up at a special town meeting when we had a better idea of what DEP requires.
Well, and it would start juggling all the numbers, so if we threw that in right
I
now,
think
the last minute.
Right, it's coming a little late. And
He did mention it though, now that you say that, when he was before us. I don't know if he mentioned a figure, but he mentioned that there would be something probably on the need. There'd be a need.
Yeah, without the knowledge of it, I think it's smart to not over-reserve it, you know, just have the special. Now we have the letter that with the requirements.
right.
I did, by the way, go in and check out the structure there and talk to Phil a little bit, and it's pretty humble, but it's filthy. I mean,
It's solid.
It works. I mean, and I don't know if I'm talking out of school or really, but he's pretty happy with the way it is. So, you know, I
To
didn't see
make any
any.
big improvements.
Yeah, I didn't see any.
You know, don't see daylight through the roof.
No, I didn't. My roof wasn't falling in.
Yeah.
I can cancel that order for new wallpaper.
Yeah, for sure.
We add to the insulation, is that?
Everyone would know.
Okay, Article 18. Good there, health services.
Yep, just
Except we're changing the Board of Health.
both the stipend per individual and the total there.
Yes. Remember, we're addressing the lake dam twice. Right? We got the
Yes.
inspection, and then we also have this maintenance.
Right.
Boy, I looked at that retaining wall yesterday. That is really close to that house, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to suggest that we all walk out there before town meeting to just look at it, but if you did, that was.
Well, I didn't really walk. We were out for a walk, and I
Yeah.
just looked up through there. And,
See all the trees kind of growing out of it and everything. They're not helping.
I mean, the wall's close enough. I was thinking a fat guy like me probably wouldn't fit between the building and the retaining wall
Yeah.
there at some places.
It's a shame because those trees are beautiful trees, but they're going to push that wall
Right.
over. He's going to lose a lot of privacy.
All right, 19 is good, I hope.
Yep.
Human services. Good with that. Everybody good?
Yes.
20, 21?
I do have a question. Mary, did you get, there were two numbers that Kathy provided us with. One, if if it was supported and one if it wasn't. Did you have?
And this is the slightly higher number, I think it was about $300,
Okay.
because they weren't supported.
Just wanted to make sure.
Article 21, employee benefit expenses. That's a best guess. 22,
One question.
yes.
Mary, in conversations we've had, and we went to that meeting last year, is there another retirement we're gonna have to start paying into that I recall him mentioning that
You're talking about OPEB?
probably?
We're starting to do those calculations now, nothing to do this year.
That's on Article
Yes.
21. Anything else on
No, just, I was remembering that.
21? Article 22, that's our FERCog. Article 23, that's the enterprise fund. Everybody has a good handle on how that works. We're voting on it so we can pay the bills when they come in. But we're not paying it out of the general fund, we're paying it out of the enterprise fund that has to do with the sewer. So the sewer commissioners are like, not only operate the plant, but they're a little bit like the board of assessors for the sewer district.
Entity.
And they'll set the rate to actually generate that amount of money back into the enterprise fund.
Right.
So,
Thinking for themselves, basically.
and they actually end up, good management at the start, right, Mary?
Very good at the start, that's right.
They get the retained earnings.
Yep.
That they actually,
Which they use to offset the rates a little bit every year.
and have it to do, to make improvements without affecting the ratepayers, so it works out real well. But it takes a little while to get a handle on how the mechanics of that whole thing work. It took me a while anyway. There's our debt expenses.
Yeah, I thought in prior years, Mary, there were always two interest payments of $13.20. Do you recall seeing that? Because one year we didn't have enough money to pay the second one, or am I thinking of something different?
No.
I seem to recall that. So by paying it off, is that what's eliminating that second one? But there were always two at the same time.
And boy, I'd have to, I wonder if I brought my folder. And I'm trying to think if it was it Town Common?
I thought it was. But if this is correct, it struck me that I remember seeing the number twice, and in 1 year, we got a second bill we were expecting.
Yeah, well, what it was the way the payments and interest sheet was laid out.
Right.
You were supposed to go back into another line and carry another one forward. I think I've got it this time. I can check it when I go in there to.
Because if we're paying it off, that will be the end of that anyway. So,
It's an annual note because
Right.
I've got it in my,
right.
Expense.
But since I'm going to be in there, I'll just take a quick look at that debt sheet and make sure I've got that right. I assume that I will.
I'm sure you. So that's what we got for debt. We paid $218,000, and $30,000 of that will be from free cash.
Mary, question on that.
Actually, 2007. No, $30,000 will be from free cash.
So when I haven't gotten to that motion, but that's where you'll see that.
Why do we call it highway debt truck and not highway truck debt? I mean, it just seems if I was on the floor and I'm used to seeing it, so it kind of goes over.
Yeah,
the
I
top.
know, and I could change it, I think.
It
what
makes
is-
so much, it's grammatically incorrect to call it fire debt truck. Is this a truck that carries debt?
Well,
Oh,
but
it
you
does,
see, you've got
actually,
highway
so-
debt truck, highway debt garage, highway debt grader.
So put a hyphen after the word debt,
Or a comma or something.
or go the other way, highway truck debt, you know. It just, it strikes me as being poor form.
And you've got fire debt truck.
Yeah,
And that's because often there is something that changes from year to year. I think been that way
Could
for
be
a while.
highway debt backhoe.
And it could be highway debt backhoe. So,
Dump truck.
Another year,
I mean, just because we've done it in the past doesn't make sense to
no,
us.
no, what I'm saying is that you'll often have multiples, and what you're drawing
Why don't you
attention
just-
to is it's highway
So
debt.
just put a hyphen after fire
Hyphen,
debt,
yes,
hyphen truck.
right, that's all.
Highway debt grader, fire debt truck.
Just clean it up a little bit.
Any other comments on
No.
Article 24? Article 25. These are revolving funds.
Where does, oh, never mind.
Do you want to say under the park, that revolving fund is, someone would question that maybe, is that it's for swimming lessons, or not really?
That
Just
can
leave it.
be a discussion.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Article 26, 200,000 in stabilization.
Is that number worthy of holding?
That'd be a good number to bold. That's an excellent number. You got that, Mary? Article 27. Cookie cutter. Article 28. That's the end of the meeting.
What about, did I miss the one on the, oh no, that was early on the sewer plant to,
About the, approve the 20-year contract?
no, the history project was the one I'm thinking.
It's in here.
It's in here, okay, good.
Not to exceed
Yeah,
2,000,
to
it's from
direct
a
the
grant
board to-
instead of,
Right, that's grant program
To
income.
approve or something like that, right? Which article was that? They must have, those,
16.
16.
So take your time.
You want me to go do that now?
they've been patiently listening, I'm just going to let them see my copy while we discuss the matter.
Really don't have anything else on the agenda to discuss, except I think it'd be all right to...
I do have this letter on the calls.
Oh, Mary,
Yeah.
I got an email from Darlene Kuzmeskis.
Yeah, I got,
Did that letter go out? Didn't I sign that
you
letter?
did sign the letter, it did not go out, so I faxed it to them today, all three of them, and then sent the hard copy in the mail. I apologize, I didn't go back into the folder.
As long as it's taken care of.
It is.
Number 28 on our list, though, I had a question from Dell. Given they're expecting the new fire truck next week, the question is, where can we put the old fire truck that's being replaced? Could it go up and sit in the yard of the highway department?
I should have to ask the fire commissioners. The highway, not the old, not the old.
Did I look confused? I was.
Yes.
I couldn't figure out what my question was.
I was thinking tucking it in next to the council on aging ban.
No, at the highway department, because they've got all that paving up there, and I mean, not, it doesn't need to be kept heated and well taken care of, it just needs to
Was there a plan on disposing of that truck?
Makes sense if it's being replaced.
I think they're gonna take off of it anything that they planned on reusing. And then what's left, I don't believe anybody wants to keep.
Right, then at that point, they just ask us for, do a request for bids and stuff.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know if that discussion had,
I don't think it had come up to disclose it.
No, he just sent me a note yesterday and just said, you know, he'd like to, when the new one comes, it's gonna be here before the end of the town meeting. Where can they put the old one? And I didn't want to assume it could go to the highway department,
I guess we should.
but if we agree or ask Tom if there's a place to put it.
I think the fire chief and the highway superintendent can speak to each other and figure it out.
I will send Bill a note.
I mean, that highway garage is big enough. The fellow that built it said it's big enough so you'll be able to put every piece of town-owned equipment and then still go at high speed with a golf cart between every one.
Okay,
Is the fire truck gonna be here for a town meeting? Is it gonna
that's
park
what I'm
out front?
told.
It's here next week, it'll make it in
It's
time.
here, that's the goal, is to have it here, because it was a year ago that they voted for it.
Wow, good.
So they really want it to be here.
Do you want to just tell Dell to contact Tom and figure it out?
Okay, reasonable, okay.
Good. Sounds like a good way to be.
So we're gonna go through talking points, or will that be redone too, and then we can do it all at once, I guess?
Well, I thought maybe we, it's up to you guys, what you want to do on the talking points. I mean, we can move right along onto that. I suppose it needs to be done sometime. May as well do it now.
Or we can wait for a clean sheet to come out, do another clean sheet. Has the right numbers on it. The important thing is signing the warrant, right?
Signing the warrant tonight is really
almost
not-
any time. Because she'll probably want some time to update that. I do have a letter here,
Yeah, let's,
whenever you want to
why
take it.
why don't we figure that we're into new business here?
It's pretty,
So if we don't
I'm
do
sorry.
talking, if we don't do talking points tonight, we'll review them next week?
You got time next week, right?
Think so?
I prefer to have the correct data on here before I
Right.
start writing on it, and then find out that I have to transfer it all to another one, so.
And if she doesn't print this from the new one, we can at least copy the numbers
If you guys
ourselves.
wanted to talk tonight about which ones we're going to take, that would be okay too. You know, we don't have to get into detail of them. That would be-
Well, I mean, that, you know, this writing out the talking points on all of it is kind of new to me.
Yeah,
It's actually very helpful. Because it gives you a few ideas, because inevitably there's questions, just like you said, there's 2 dam issues. So that will prompt somebody, something for sure. They'll notice that ahead of time.
yeah, it's food for thought, you know. It's our meeting.
It's not important.
And I know in the past, anything that you thought was relevant to it, Mary would
Well,
add to the talking points for it.
Why don't we take up the talking points after Mary's come out and we've actually signed the warrant?
Okay, good
And
idea.
then we can go through that, we can discuss a few other things.
Okay.
You've got a letter here that,
Yeah, I made 2 copies of it. It's very short and sweet. But you know that Paul Swim on every invoice, he gives us this thing called the preferred customer community service, because he used to live in town, and we didn't get him in the annual report to thank him, so it was just over one sentence. I gave you another copy for Paul to look at,
Thank you.
just to say thanks. I'm afraid sometimes it's 10 or 20% on the invoice.
Is it okay if I read it aloud?
yeah, sure.
Just people in the audience. It's addressed to Paul Schwem. Dear Paul, on behalf of the town of Ashfield?
That's what it should say. Mary has a copy.
Okay, on behalf of the town of Ashfield, the select board would like to thank you for the preferred customer, community service, billing status, and associated discounts that you have so generously granted our town. Regards, and there's room for all 3 members to sign. Yeah,
You good with it?
Great,
I'm great
yeah.
with it. Should we wait and get that little typo taken
Sure,
care of?
I'll let Mary know and she can,
Wayne,
excuse me.
Well, there's a lull here. When did you get back in? have some situations in Creighton Town. Well, we've got to get going again after that finally plowed me out. And by having it plowed in all winter, we lost the batteries.
You what?
The batteries went bang.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the word of what we got to do. It was shut off, everything was correct, so
These things happen. How old were the batteries? Is there still a sticker on
2000.
them? Yeah, I think it's all right.
They don't know us anything. But I just want you to know, and the second thing is, please, as select board members, start thinking of where we're going to be able to put that in the future.
So we can get it out in the winter.
I have 3 cases right now that occurred in this last week that we are probably going to finally be able to start doing shopping for these people, or have to do shopping for them. One of them's the neighbor.
I'll make a point to see if we can't find a spot for it.
It's inside, I mean, there's no, if we park it out, we might as well forget it in the winter.
Brian, could I ask you a question? I handed this to Beverly and Wayne to take a peek at, and Beverly was asking, and I know I can't explain it entirely, so could you explain net metering?
In this case, there's two types of net metering that I understand anyway. There's the one that's available to normal residences where you can distribute the kilowatt hours generated by a PV system to a number of other meters to offset the electrical use in other meters. This municipal one that we're considering here is a similar scheme where a large PV system is built by a company, and they are then able to sell the credits associated that are produced by that system to municipalities to then use to pay their electric bills. So it's a way of net metering means you can take electricity generated by a system somewhere and apply the electricity, the kilowatt hours that show up on that meter, apply those to other meters somewhere else, other electrical meters to offset the electrical use in those meters. Does that make sense?
And the second question was here, to borrow money from time, and from time to time.
You can just change that for motion. Or I can go in and tell it. We want to run in and tell it.
Okay, from time to time.
Could borrow the money from town.
Or just in. Yeah, we'll get those out. Did you get the email from the MMA on the House beginning debate?
Mm-hmm. It's always fun to read through that
That's
stuff.
kind of interesting.
It is. Kind of more curious about after the debate than beginning the debate.
So today, one of the ladies in the office, I happened to be in the office today, and it came time, she always has the radio going, and I could hear it. And they were getting ready for the moment of silence for,
Oh, yeah.
so I heard her get up, and she says, I've got to hear this. So she turned the radio up to
Was a moment of
to the
silence.
moment of silence. I I was very respectful afterwards. I said, did you hear the moment of silence? Did you hear that moment of silence? Good shape when you turned the radio off. And she had to get up and turn the radio back down. Just funny how people are. But, she was interested and she was aware of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was curious. In my office this time of year, there's 4 lines and phones are always ringing. And for about 10 minutes right during that time, there wasn't a phone call. It was kind of, it was probably just a coincidence, but
Maybe not.
a few of them may not have been.
Yeah.
So, I was just thinking if there were any other emails that were of notable note here. Got that addressed?
I have a question for the two of you. Last year, at the town meeting, there was this little snafu with the worksheets or some of the exhibits that came up later. They were like out of order, or we didn't have the most recent one. How do we prevent that from happening? Do you recall it happening last year? It was something that was like, oh, you have the wrong one. Here we are on the floor, we had the wrong one, and it was a cause for confusion because numbers didn't hunt.
The floor had a different one than the front table had.
Okay.
And probably it's because, were there some last minute changes last year?
Okay. Maybe.
I know,
Do you
and I
remember
don't,
that?
We just have to try to keep
I
that, because I was
remember
totally confused
something from the year before. I'm not remembering one from last
last
year.
year.
You know what I think it was? I think there was a last minute change on what the motion was compared to.
Well, it was an Excel worksheet.
No,
Oh,
but the
okay.
motion was, the motion that was made differed from what was on the warrant, which then made the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
It's some of those things that can happen in that week or 10 days. That's the reason.
I wished I remembered which one it was. And I'm not. And yes, I was there, but I don't remember.
See, we have a minute.
Yes.
Do you notice this big hole that never used to be here?
Is it getting bigger?
Yeah, we noticed it today.
And I noticed the door is sinking.
It used to be just a little crack.
We used to be
It's swallowed up.
We used to be up there further,
Maybe we didn't move up.
but we.
Well, they're gonna change it.
I'm not the one that moved the table back here, Paulette, for you to sit on top of that. Just
But I
remember
like
that.
that bumpy spot.
That's for the record.
I just never noticed it to be that.
Well,
That I'm not the one.
Surprising.
I'm not the one that's putting you
I
over
didn't
the
put
trap
you
door.
on this spot.
Is that what that is? Is that-
No.
You're right.
No,
It's
it's
just
just so hard
hard to-
separating there.
Well, we just gave the town hall steward a big raise, so.
It used to be just a little crack, like that. And now it's,
And it,
It's not like the floor moved.
you don't think?
This one, this plank moves a little bit, still a little.
That one moved.
Huh?
Sure, look at it sink. You can, yes, look at it come down. Jump harder.
No,
but it goes, you can see it, it goes all the way up to where Brian.
It is though.
Well, I was noticing today,
I noticed
somewhere
this wider up
over
there.
there,
There,
there's some pretty big ones. And things should be coming together this time of year, should be more
When
works.
we reconvene after voting, we'll move forward on the.
Take these over there.
One of those is for our copy, just FYI, and the other.
Attach it to the document list. So anyway, I brought to Ron's attention this email from the MMA, I think it came today.
Yes.
About what they oppose and so on and so forth. And I was not aware of, they oppose Amendment 30, which would undermine the public safety residency law. The MMA is strongly opposing Amendment 30, which would effectively eliminate the statutory 10-mile residency requirement in state law for police officers and firefighters by unilaterally increasing the limit to 35 miles.
What does that mean?
Say that again? What do you got there?
It says
They're
they're opposing it. Amendment 30, which would, that's Amendment 30 to this year's budget, which would effectively eliminate the statutory 10-mile residency requirement in state law for police officers and firefighters by unilaterally increasing the limit to 35 miles.
Does that mean that they have to, right now, that for them to work as a volunteer fire person, they have to be within 10 years,
10
10 miles, and now this would allow them to go to 35.
But they're opposing.
They're
It says
opposing.
they're opposing changing it from 10 miles to
To
35. Police officers and firefighters are required by law to live within 10 miles of the community in which they work. Many cities and towns have included residency provisions in their collective bargaining contracts, and this amendment would interfere with those agreements, disrupting the management of their public safety departments. The majority of communities have not included any residency provisions in their contracts, as the 10-mile range works well for them, and these localities would suddenly face serious management and logistical issues. Please oppose this amendment. I guess my thing is I didn't realize it was a statutory requirement for them to be within 10 miles. I didn't either.
And is that for
And since we've got a police chief that's about 50 miles away, 60 miles away, I think that's an issue.
I was not on the board at the time he was hired. I don't know that we have a bylaw, but I can look for one or any kind of...
It doesn't say it's a bylaw.
No, I said I don't know that we have anything that would supersede that.
I know that
Or
when we
even
hired
good.
him, there was either an understanding or agreement that he was going to be moving over. So that might have been in someone's mind at the time, you know, that he'd be within that 10
Well,
miles.
I know you're on the personnel board, so I think we need to have the background on that.
That's why I was asking you to read it again, because as you read it, that's what I was thinking, that he's not
I mean,
within
maybe
10 miles.
It could just very well be that it was missed.
And is that true for our part-time officers also?
Well, and I think one of them lives in Westfield,
I think so.
Tomoka.
Yeah.
Or he did at one time, I don't know where he lives now. Well, it doesn't, it just says police department and fire department, it doesn't specify which, like if there's a difference
It
between
says,
the
it
chief
says,
or
it
officer.
says it's state law for police officers and firefighters.
It's
Yeah,
number
that's,
30,
you know,
right?
just police officers and firefighters are required by law to live within 10 miles of the community in which they work.
Is there anybody that can
So
live
it's
in?
kind of hard for, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I think if you get into the 97 pages of that law, you know, there's probably an out, there's probably something around, but it certainly doesn't sound that way from what they're saying right now.
bring it up.
You know.
Because even if they
Clean
vote
that up.
that and are opposed to it, there still is a law already in place
Right.
with the 10 miles. Yeah.
But, you know, there may be a special vote or something, I mean, if we're concerned about the law.
One of the problems, Paulette, is
That's part of the oath we take, correct?
is the problem that nowadays there's so many that work for several different places. We have a reserve officer right now that works in 3 towns
Right.
because he can't get full-time work in any one of them.
Right.
And I know Greenfield's fire department's in even worse shape on that.
I'm glad to see that you see when you're waiting for somebody, it seems like it's such a long time.
Wonderful, huh? The only thing that takes longer is the response time of the keyboard.
Yes, sometimes, right? Sometimes. I always wonder, why is that going on right now? Let's, while we're waiting.
Can I ask one question from something from last week while we're waiting? This draft, you did sign it and it went, as opposed to this is a draft we're all looking at, correct? We had it.
We approved that, that was the one to
We
the
said,
superintendent of the technical school.
right, so this was just the copy, so we knew what the content was. I just wanted to be sure, because it was in the pile of papers last week, but we didn't talk about it. Thank you.
We did talk about it with the finance committee. We talked about that last week with the finance committee.
About that,
That letter?
About the letter to
the residency issue.
yeah, or maybe that was 2 weeks ago even.
Because David had worked up the letter
Right.
from 2 weeks ago. He said, I'll present it at the next select board meeting, and that was last week.
I just didn't remember that I remember the content we discussed the week before. I just didn't remember looking this over last week when I got home and pulled it out. I said, oh, we left without talking about it. But I thought we had it just because we knew what the letter then said that you signed.
We did.
Yeah. Okay, well, sorry if I
Well, that's fine.
incorrectly remembered.
I will check, I've got 3 here, but if it's ready to sign.
Well, I figured, you know, you were taking your time and it'll be all, it's all set.
I think
It's
it
as
is.
good- it's as
You want
good
to
as-
look at it?
It's good as it's gonna get, right?
Okay.
You know the stipend changes. This,
Are they there?
one of these belly up here, you wanna sign, or does it make any
The
difference?
3, you're going to sign all 3 of those. That's a clean copy, here's another clean copy, if you just want to check the changes.
I just want to look at it.
Sure.
And in the meantime.
What are our 3 posting places? South Ashfield Library, Town Hall, and the post office?
Oh, Town Hall, Post Office, and I don't know if we post at the South Ashfield Library.
They haven't in recent years.
I don't think so.
They have not done it in the last
Are
4
we
years.
just the 2 now?
I think it's just the 2, and we keep a clean copy for the book. Two there, apart from the 3. So what I have is page 2, changed to Article 6, no total there. 7 bolded the school amount, also bolded historical commission for fees and Article 12, changed town hall steward, removed office supplies, no special project. Oh, I forgot to bring out my paper. But I think
stipends we discussed are changed. We made bold the 200,000 on Article 26.
I didn't save a copy for myself there, so.
I believe I read you already the copy.
Oh,
Run it through the copy machine before we
yeah,
go.
so Article 18, I did change it to 750. Right number, yeah.
Yes, you did.
Thank you. I'll just have her make a copy of that one when you're done.
Oh, I can give you this one, because I just wanted to look at it,
Oh,
see if I
Take
changed.
your time.
I
Take your time.
couldn't remember.
Okay.
Well,
I didn't want to
check
take
the
your
math.
copy in case you need
Well,
it.
just of the sums, it makes sense. They all check fine.
I appreciate it.
Take me 2 more seconds and I'll be done.
Okay, just draw a line.
Had we decided where we were getting that money from?
for your incorrect ones, but my correct
In stipend, some changes?
No different place than where we were before.
There's some,
If you look at the last page, I think it's 8,000 of your
oh,
worksheet.
okay, there's
So
some,
it was $8,325 left in more.
oh, okay, great, thank you.
What's that?
That's just my
I
question.
haven't changed that yet, but I'll change the worksheet tonight and send it out. You know.
Okay. So it's just gonna come out of there. Would we ever get to the point of not having a tax increase? We would just have a large sum left that we're not spending at the end of this? How is it that we could ever accomplish that? Don't say, yeah. What do you think? How could, you know, every, no, I'm just wondering, what would it take for us to be able to get to a point where we didn't have to spend all the monies?
You don't have to spend all the money, you could just cut the expenses and, you know, the expenses would just melt away.
So,
If all the planets aligned, I suppose.
so at some point,
Or if you had such a huge amount of free cash, you'd just finance everything with free cash.
because I know it seems like some of the equipment we've been pushing for a long, long time, so now it's kind of all catching up with us each year. You would think at some point you'd get beyond that where you wouldn't every year have the need for big items, or is it?
I look at that a little different than you are, okay, because I don't think we've been pushing the equipment off long, long ways. I really don't. I mean, we don't have any Model A or Model T dump trucks or anything like that, you know, but,
Is 30 years on a greater normal?
yeah, I would hope.
Oh, okay.
I would hope 30 years, 20 years on a dump truck.
Those are reasonable
I
numbers.
think they're reasonable to me.
Just nice that they don't all come one right after the other, so that you stagger it out.
That really is a big issue, is that there was a time 20, 30 years ago when some of the equipment was 30 years old. I mean, when I was talking to Tom and, or up at the Sugar House for Kurt's retirement, and we talked about having a truck where they only used it in the winter because they could stop it by putting the plow down. I mean, that's,
Dangerous.
that was no kidding.
I
That
believe
was no
so.
kidding, that was like a 1968, and it was a gas job, and it was, it served its purpose, but nobody dared drive it in the, they didn't want to take the plow.
Well, without the plow, right?
To use that as an anchor,
You had a fire truck.
a land anchor, right?
The Ford fire truck was the same way. Except it didn't have a plow.
Hey, that first fire truck that I remember being a part of, that was probably the most well-planned exercise. I mean, that was like 5 years. Everybody had time to get their ducks in a row to...
Referring to number one. Number three, actually.
Portable pond. I've got 3 copies signed if the totals are adding up there.
They're adding up, I'm almost done.
One signature by itself isn't much good.
And do you want to write in, or I'll write in, just want to remember to write in the date on the
I put
very
the
last
22nd. Hoping that's today's date, I've been using it all day.
Yep, almost there. Is this one of those you need to sign?
I think they signed my copy, they're all the same, they came off the same printer.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right.
Now you'll have a motions copy, can we just go through and put?
We're just gonna get this signed and hand these back to you, so they don't get lost.
Sorry.
Mike?
Thank you, not quite done.
Will you give us a final version of the signed copy, just for like a PDF or something?
Yep, I will scan it in and send you a PDF of the same.
All right, so we got the one with the motions. What the hell did I do with mine? I didn't sign mine, it said motions on it, did I?
Oh, good.
Mine's got this other thing.
Just had it. It's right here. Got it. Don't look anymore. It's always in the last place you look.
We signed that Swan letter there. Mary.
Yep, and I've got
Yeah,
that
if you could
right
send
here.
one of those out right away. I'd like him to get it before the time.
Yep.
What is it, Brian? It's not the bell. It's the siren that's the only thing that uses 3-phase power. That's why we have 3-phase power here.
Yeah, that's, I think that was the only thing I saw on the box, so the 3-phase breaker, 90 amps too.
It whistles every Saturday. All right. We don't need to make a career out of this, but let's discuss what needs to be discussed. Anything on Article 1? No. Article 2? You can't find yours now.
I can't find that. Mostly what I want you to do is tell me who's gonna, all right, tell me who's gonna do it. Or, you know, who's gonna make what motions.
And you'll also edit this, Mary, right, to reflect what we just did,
Yeah,
so it has the correct numbers
Yep.
in it and everything.
I would think Articles 1 and 2 could come from the floor. And Article 3.
from the floor, really?
Let
All
them come from the floor. Let them get into the swing of it.
right,
Why, you don't think anybody on the floor is gonna be clever enough to do that?
well, let's see. 1, 2, and 3.
Pretty generic, right? The
Yep.
moderator's gonna read them, I mean, what do you think, Paula?
When you're saying from the floor, you mean the moderator?
Well, the moderator's gonna read it,
Right.
then somebody from the floor can make the motion.
Sure.
I mean, on those are so easy, somebody can just holler out, "So moved."
Yeah.
Article 4. You wanna move that one, Paula?
Sure.
I figured I'd probably move Article 5, how's that?
Okay.
Article 6, that has to do with the vocational as much as anything else. Ron, I don't wanna leave you out of the fun.
No, I'll be glad to do it.
There's quite a lot of good discussion that can go with that as far as, and I'm sure the finance committee will chip in on that. In good shape, you know, all the work that David's done, trying to refine that number to make it $110,000 less than what it has been.
This doesn't include the transportation, though, right? Or does it?
It does.
Yes, vocational does include transportation. The vocational transportation.
That's what I meant. Yeah, I'll get together with David and just make sure talking points are, I mean, when you say move it,
Just
make
get-
a motion.
Make the motion.
Okay. So no discussion necessary?
No.
Unless it comes from the floor?
It'll come from the
Okay.
floor. I would go.
Sure.
And I bet Dave would be willing to explain too. We'll call upon
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
he'll take plenty of time.
after you do
I
the
mean,
motion.
as in the one above this, for example, just because it illustrates this, the grader, if questions come from the floor, you obviously want to be prepared. You're not just going to lean on Tom. You're going to have facts and figures. So I need to come up to speed with this enough that I feel very comfortable with it, and then I can always defer to those guys
All
too.
right, well, I mean, it's a good time to, I mean, we've been discussing it for a couple of months now, so I think we ought to be pretty comfortable with why we're doing it.
Yeah, and the conservatism factor built into it, in the event that more people move in, and, you know, so on and so forth. So I just have to,
And if David raises his hand, the moderator will call on him too.
yeah, we'll let him.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
since we're both in agreement on that, if David feels comfortable doing that, I could defer to him, but don't look like a dolt either.
and Ron, I'll also have a few basic points under there.
Good,
Just some basic points.
okay. Yeah, I feel fine with that.
Like, how much is tuition and how much is transportation?
Right, well, what the tuition schedule, or what we expect it to be, right?
Now, Mary, you're
David feels he has it pretty well nailed right down.
are you at the table with us? You are, right?
Yes.
I'm just trying to recall.
And I'll probably also have a book with me with some other stuff in case there are other questions.
Okay. Those kinds of extraneous notes I can never find what I'm looking for.
I know. They're under this book. Doesn't matter.
I
Okay.
mean, what basically happens is you move the motion, and then
Someone a second.
Then there's, at the discussion says that we support, obviously. And you say that the board unanimously supports it, or do you not say unanimously?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just trying to get form, whatever we do.
generally, if it's unanimous.
You understand, it's
Yeah.
my first
Yeah, no, I
at the
understand.
table, so I'm trying to ask the appropriate questions.
And so usually somebody, a select board member will make a motion, somebody will second it. Then the moderator will turn and say, finance committee, and get their recommendation.
Generally, he does. I'm almost thinking that, see, Buzz and I have differences of how it goes every year. Generally, he'll ask for a little bit of discussion on some of these before he goes to the finance.
Which makes sense, because you've got it in your mind that they support it, and if the two don't, then you're gonna get all twisted up, I don't know.
So, but it's just this is what it
Okay.
is. This is, I mean, normally, I think, like that Article 6, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things on Article 6 is to remind everyone that we don't belong to Franklin Tech or Smith.
Right.
You
And
know,
pay tuition.
we pay tuition, and that was a decision made years ago.
But also checked into last year, I contacted them, we had a meeting set up, which we ended up not going to, but they had their lawyer look into it. It would have involved paying a fairly large sum back to when we could have first joined the district.
Right.
And that would have taken some legal work to figure out, but a quick look, it wasn't going to really save.
And one of the big things is that it gave the students in town, gave them two options.
Mm-hmm. And you could
Equal
do that
distance,
if you had an agreement.
If you were Franklin Tech,
It's all exclusive. See, those are important things for me to know. Mary, do you have that letter? Just, I could get that from
I
you
have
over the
lots
course
of,
of
I
the
have
week.
lots of stuff, so.
But I just want that one letter that talks about, someone from the floor could say, what would it cost to do that?
There's no answer. What we found out was that we would have to have a series of meetings with them and their lawyer, and
Oh,
our
okay, it
lawyer,
wasn't.
because it's a complicated formula when you
Okay.
join the district many years later to figure out.
Okay.
Don't you sort of have to catch up
You
financially?
do.
So it's like you have to go
It's
back
like
as if
catch-up
you were
provision.
and
It's like
pay the...
software agreements or something like that. Okay, good.
I think Article 7, the school committee will move that.
And there will be some discussion on that with the finance committee, if you recall, because they were taking...
Right,
That
and the
number,
motions, I will also
acceptance.
fill it in as far as we know. Under there, you will see, under motions, some of the bullet points, you'll see finance committee recommendation or against, so you'll be able to follow that along.
Question along Article 7. We've heard from Emily Robinson. And are they inclined to support it? And we should know that, right? They're part of the school committee. So the school,
I think there'll be discussion.
no, I'm not saying there wouldn't be discussion. Discussion's healthy, but when they present this, we're not going to say anything about this article at all?
Oh, in the discussion period,
But it's not up to us to,
I
Present.
think they'll be sitting there, and generally the school committee will make the motion. That's my,
I think they
I
did
didn't know
last
that.
year.
Okay, so they generally do that.
right, the
But
school.
when they voted for that additional $80,000, they both voted no. So I'm
The
not
second time.
The second time, so I'm not sure what the school committee is going to be saying at this meeting.
That's good, that gives us a reason to tune in.
Emily and Poppy.
So then if I can ask, what's our position on this? I think we're not unanimous, are we, or are we in support?
I have an issue, but I will probably vote for the budget.
Mhm.
because you can't vote a lower number. Like, if you voted, if there was a amendment for the lower number, that doesn't mean the
You can
lower
just-
number is good, that
right.
just throws out the budget.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Right.
And then they get to come back.
Right.
But I mean, should we be prepared to know, I mean, if they
I-
turn
I-
to us and say, what is the select board think? It's not a free-for-all, we either say we are in support of it, or we're not,
Well, I think,
or do we
My-
speak individually?
well, I would think could all have separate opinions. I mean, I'm not in favor of how they got the extra $80,000 or our $14,000
Increase.
increase. Okay, I'm not in favor of that for a number of reasons, because, you know, it being earmarked and regardless, you know, if they expect it to be, you know, for a position or a couple of programs that'll work with 30 or 40 students instead of the 2,000 students or whatever there is in the whole system, I don't think that is a whole picture approach that I would approve of.
So you would,
But,
okay, that's what I wanted.
but knowing how the budget works and how it gets passed in the district, I really can't argue against it if that was the school committee's position due to the fact that it fits our budget. You know, I can't get up and say, damn it, we can't afford that $14,000 because it fits.
Okay, well, we
I
can ask
understand what you're saying. I was going to be interested to hear what the two school committee members say, given that they had voted no to that increase. We know where the finance committee is,
Yeah,
to see
we do.
where people really think about that.
What's your position, I guess, is?
Yeah, that last minute twist to the number didn't feel right. And then it was pointed out, even though they say they're earmarking it, that doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
Yeah, the superintendent can move it
You
around.
can do it once with it.
See, my concern, and I think I said it last week, my concern really isn't the $80,000 that they got pushed in there this year. It's that I'm afraid that there could be a bunch of parents that could get together thinking they could push $400,000 into it next year.
I guess I'm somewhat in agreement with both of you on the finer points. But I do believe that once the school committee votes for it, that I support the school committee, okay, in the end. So I don't agree that you can earmark something outside of the way they did by keeping peer, whatever,
Peer leadership or-
program in the French situation there. It's not their prerogative, that's the superintendent's. So I agree with you, Paul, at that. But at the end of the day, I kind of have this blind look at it. The school committee approved it. And if the school committee approved 400,000 also last minute, and it was legal, then I would support it because it's the duly elected officials, and I believe in the process, even though I might personally disagree with some of the stuff involved. They're there to protect our interests. So I would speak to those points.
Well, see, where the cheese would get pretty binding is that instead of if it was 400,000, if it was 14,000, instead of a $14,000 increase, it would be a $70,000 increase. And then how would the town finance that? That would make,
Then you send it, maybe you can't afford it, you send it back.
right.
It's
You know, so it's this one Democratic Party coming, you know, I mean, the town meeting, that's the beauty of it, you know, I mean, that's, you know, we have all these legislators and stuff that get paid to go to Boston and have these highfalutin jobs, but we do it every Saturday in May, right upstairs.
That's right. Okay, well, I just wanted to feel you guys out a little on that.
It's not our town, but just to digress a second. In the paper today, they were talking about Frontiers Inc., you know,
Right.
experience and loss, and 4 of the towns have basically pushed back and said, no, that's us. Basically,
That could be.
because the same kind of group is basically saying, no, we, that budget won't work for us.
We rejected it.
And they've rejected it long before it got to the floor. So the time to have indicated that we weren't going to accept it probably would have been sooner than this, to have said to Emily, we're not going to approve this.
Well,
But it's only the three of us, it's not,
Mhm.
it has to happen at annual town meeting.
Right.
Everybody else could vote
right,
yes.
right. I mean, I suppose the select board could say, well, we're not gonna put that on the warrant, but I don't think that would have a hell of a lot of standing.
No.
Okay, well, that'll be an interesting one.
Because they're elected officials just the same as we are. We're all elected by the same constituency.
But isn't that what they're doing down there? Basically, they brought it back to the towns, and the towns
Yeah.
are saying, no, I don't know if it's the school committee or if it's their combinations of their select boards and finance committees are the ones
Well,
really saying that.
I think they're still gonna have a battle on town meeting floor about it.
Yeah, and we only need 3 towns to push back, I believe, in our regional agreement.
Three of the,
3 of the member towns.
So
So,
it depends on their weight, isn't it?
no,
It's
it's-
in this
if
way.
you have 1 town push back, it'll still go through.
Right.
But if you have 3 towns push back, then it gets rejected. That's my belief on the system. So, and I think I've heard of a couple of towns who might be, so I won't push that.
It's kind of odd that the other towns don't have as high of increases as we do,
Right. Shelburne,
but it fits it seems to fit our budget plan. I mean, what we've put together so far, I mean, it fits into our
but it
schedule,
limited,
but maybe we don't have a good enough schedule, I don't know.
but it limited some other things. For us, it's proportionally higher. So let's say $25,000 higher than somebody else, just for conversation. That $25,000 could have served some other purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Stabilization,
always
could have been anywhere, right? So other towns may be having the same experiences that they haven't got enough. We just happen to be this year in a position that it fit.
Right. And I think the point that Tom Schreiber brought up on Wednesday was very good, that when he went back over 5 years, this only equates to, what did he say, like
Yeah,
a
it was less than
3.5%?
CPI. It was, I did it actually.
Like
It's
a 3%.
Like 1.5, but I'll have that number ready I actually do have it, I'll let you know.
Because they did hold it down a couple of years in a row.
Yeah, we were very fortunate.
It's like 1.5%. It's very low. This is CPI and such, but I don't have it ready. I will be prepared.
So the school committee will take care of 7.
Do we need to tell them that, or do they
Yeah,
just know
I'll-
to do it?
I'll talk to him.
Okay.
Article 8. Paulette, you want to start the circle again?
I'd like to start that. It's only 2 years late.
Article 9. I'll move that unless Pat or somebody wants to do it, right?
Do you want me to check or do you
Or
want to?
Doug, Pat, if Pat's there, I mean, we don't have to have this isn't a 3-act play.
And I'll put you
How
as
about we-
default.
Yeah. What about Article 10? Should we let the finance committee move that? That's
Sure.
up to their,
Do that again.
nothing like spreading the wealth. Article 11. I bet there's somebody from the sewer commission who'd love to move that.
Good sewer commission.
Come from a position of authority.
And didn't Brian say he was speaking to it as well?
No, I think,
I'm gonna help write the
Chop.
crib sheet for it.
who's going to do it, do you think?
Betty at the, who's gonna,
Make the motion.
Possibly Todd.
yeah. that would
Oh, good.
probably,
Sewer.
but it could be anyone. But we're talking about who would be available.
Article 12, general government expenses. Where are we on this? We're good with this one? This is all good, right?
We were split 2-1.
Oh, that's
And
right,
there's-
that's because of the salaries, you were gonna.
And there's
you
a
were gonna-
comment, it says finance committee motion
On what?
on the next page.
Oh, because they're gonna, I was just quickly filling in kind of talking points, so
Oh,
really
okay.
what that means is the finance committee will make their own motion.
Right, okay,
They'll have an amended motion, I'm sure.
yes, they said they would.
And mostly I start to throw stuff in just so you can see how that.
So Paulette, this probably, Ron, this would be your turn anyway, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Throw me to the wolves.
It's just working out right. If Paulette doesn't agree, it wouldn't be right for her to make the motion.
Now, it's in the discussion that you would point out to the floor the changes, right, or not?
What changes?
Well, this, we
The
have
final-
some increases in,
That would be in the discussion.
but it's up to me to bring that forth, is what I'm saying.
Depending on how Buzz does it, I mean, it's gonna come forth when he asks the finance committee, that's for certain. See, I'm not sure how quick he's gonna go to the finance committee, if he wants a discussion about this ahead of time, but if he sticks with what I remember him doing in the past, is that he will have some discussion. And so, there would be discussion about that we've changed these, going from hourly rate and
The salary and the actual rate. Those are the only significant changes, right? Everything else, I mean, other than, we have the, this is the old one.
this is the old one.
The moderator thing will be in
Right.
there, and
Right. Mild additions to the stipend.
And so Ron, usually what I do, and I can show you after if you want to see, I have a couple of other years talking points motions here.
whatever you do.
Is there'd be some bullets that would call out what the changes are.
That's fine.
It doesn't mean if a moderator does, as you remember, as I remember, and let's say the board member who's made the motion, make a little statement first. It doesn't mean you have to go down those items, they're just there if you want to refer to them.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
But
Good.
it doesn't mean that just because you make the motion that you have to carry the entire staff on all the discussion. I mean, the rest of us are sure.
Okay. Well, feel free to,
You know,
at
that's-
the time. I'm looking at it like I'm representing this motion, right? And I'm not standing the whole time, I'll be sitting down, and then it'll be going back and forth like a rubber ball, so.
Yeah.
All right. But here we come down to the question. What do I say, because it comes with every article, that the select board supports this, even though it's a 2-to-1 vote? Or do I say that this was 2-to-1? What's the format for what I say?
I wouldn't even mention it.
Oh, you don't, so we're not gonna do this, so we're not gonna say, like, every year I hear, the finance committee unanimously supports this, just not to bring it up, just make the motion and don't even mention it.
I mean, Paulette certainly will have an opportunity you'll
Right.
want to voice your dissent.
But, right, he doesn't have to say 2-1.
No,
You're right,
because-
though. Usually the finance committee does that, but many of the times, we're putting forth the motion, and then they're saying.
And you're also putting forward the warrant. So every article on the warrant is only on the warrant because a majority of you have voted to put it there. So that speaks for itself.
So,
That's assumed that each one of these is there because the board brought them forward.
okay, so I won't need to even say that, that's not necessary. If there's a dissenting opinion, they can speak up on their own.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Number 13, the firehouse townhouse capital. This is from the meeting you all had at the, now Vicky was there, you were there, probably Del was there, and
Brian was there.
building, so
Brian was there. Robin
potential,
Poisson
there's
was
plenty
there.
of people to speak to that if somebody had questions. What are you doing?
And that's,
You
Paulette, are you going down on that one?
Yes.
I can do that one.
Is that where we were?
Yeah, I think. Oh, did we miss a turn for Tom?
I think so.
No,
I was a little unclear.
Oh,
no, it starts with Paulette. And then I'm the next one, I'm 14.
okay. No problem.
And then Ron would be 15.
Mhm.
I wonder if we should let 16 be somebody from probably Don Robinson.
Somebody
would be
ask
good.
him.
Don will do that. He has experience.
Will you be sharing with him, or has anyone shared with him the fact that since they didn't give us that detailed budget,
I
that
haven't yet, so this will give me an
a
opportunity.
chance to, so he understands? Thanks.
So where did
So
we
back to
leave
me?
off? Yeah,
All right, 17.
talk about the dump.
Is that you, Tom, maybe?
Yeah. Actually, Board of Health, that's all Board of Health stuff. Let's see if, I mean, I don't mind picking up the slack, but I'm sure somebody from the Board of Health. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Does that look self-serving for them to do that?
That's fine. I mean, I don't think it looks self-serving, I mean, it's their business.
Okay.
No more than the sewer commissioners making a motion for the sewer budget.
Yep.
19, yeah, that leaves me for, I love talking about roads. Paulette?
Sure,
You wanna do
senior
20?
center, sure.
21, employee benefits, Ron?
Why not?
22, Franklin Regional Council of Governments.
Did we skip you in there? Oh, no, you got 19, okay.
Oh, am I supposed to be in the middle?
That's okay. We're just splitting them up.
I don't need to be high profile. I don't mind taking 22. Sewer commissioners will do 23. I'd like to take 24.
That's a great idea.
Paulette, since I stole that from you, you want to talk about the dog license revolving fund?
I would be thrilled.
Ron, you want to take on the stabilization account?
Might as well.
You get all the glory.
All right. Interesting to try to get my arms around it.
It's a good one. I think the finance committee agrees to that one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll take 27. Paulette, you can take,
All right.
remember what the big question is
No.
on that one.
On 28?
What do you plan to be getting rid of?
Oh, okay.
Anything any of the departments put forth to be gotten rid of?
Well, you say the old fire truck.
Yeah.
Old
So-
fire truck, maybe the grader, the old grader,
Or even the Army
or
surplus
even
one.
maybe you know, whatever the board decides. I mean, the article's pretty, you
I
know,
know,
put yourself in a box.
after we get past this, I remember a time when actually the select board put out a letter that, you know, if any departments or committees or whatever have used equipment, you know, town equipment, let us know what it is, and so you can kind of do it all at once instead of piecemeal.
Dribs and drabs.
What about the chief? Did we decide to do something with moving? Oh, no, that was gonna come from the floor, right? Do you remember that?
I think we just have to mention it to Buzz. That's something that, Mary,
Yeah,
maybe you just want to take that email from the chief.
Yep.
And forward it to Buzz, so he can be aware that we're thinking that can come from the floor.
I will do that.
In regard to Article 28, any of this bigger equipment that usually ends up, as you said, going out to bid, it's not,
Yeah.
they're significant items. If nothing else, the grader has weight or maybe usefulness as spare parts to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think either one of those graders are worth more than to somebody, as long as they're operational.
And they both are at the moment.
Yeah, we were just talking about the fact that was it Army surplus grader? It belongs actually to the fire department.
Right.
So is that an issue?
It's acquired,
Looking.
The whole thing.
it's acquired by them, and I think you have to keep it 2 years or something.
Which we've had over 2 years.
What's the equipment?
That, I think it came to the fire department, that whole Army surplus deal is just.
The surplus stuff is through the fire department. That they could potentially use for forest type of fires.
Oh, yeah.
It comes through that avenue.
Okay.
So there are some pieces the fire department couldn't get because it'd be obvious that you wouldn't be using it for that kind of service.
So next Monday, we're meeting, and then it's town meeting.
While we're on this Army surplus stuff, when you guys are resting, you want to go for just a little ride, just go for a nice ride. They're very dear friends of mine in the town of Plainfield and in Cummington.
Oh, look at them all there.
But go look at the highway garage in
By
Plainfield.
116, on 116. Well, I've seen that. They've
And
got a million
then-
vehicles.
And then scoot over to Cummington on Fairgrounds Road and look at the collection of collectibles
Dinosaurs.
the fire department has there
Yeah,
that all came through the same grant process.
sometimes you end up paying
And
more.
just because our highway garage is stuck in the woods doesn't mean it needs to turn into junk pile in the woods.
No.
But that's just a point of reference that I use.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? I think we're set. I think we're ready for town meeting.
What about materials, Mary, that are gonna go out beside the warrant? We're gonna give supplemental information? I'm thinking of spreadsheets and stuff like that, or don't?
No, we won't hand out our spreadsheets or anything like that.
Okay.
Last year I did a couple of pie charts that sort of
Yeah.
showed how, what
I think that was real good.
And we'll have a write-up on the 20-year contract, have a little bit of something, and I emphasized to Betty that I think for these kinds of things, people like something they can scan, not paragraphs, but,
Something quick.
bullet points, that sort of thing.
Thumbnail
Tom will
sketch.
write something about the grader. And then I can look through what else I handed out last year and see what, we'll have a little handout on debt exclusion, what it means.
Yeah, and I think after Article, it'll be probably after Article 3 or 4, there'll be a time, the moderator will want to talk about the budget in general, the big picture budget, before we get into line item by line item. So, I figured I would lead the discussion on that, if that's all right, if we're in agreement with that, and we can talk about the big picture, the budget thing together, and where we're gonna be, if everything passes, this is where we'll end up at the end of the.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do,
And
actually.
generally, the select board will present, and generally the chairman of the finance committee will concur, or, you know, where we don't agree, you know, those few points. I think an interesting number will be to go and see how many lines there are on the budget worksheet, and surprisingly how few that we have a difference of opinion.
Oh, there's not much.
It's less than 5.
I think in prior years, Ted maybe rotated different members, just as we represent different warrants, different members of the finance committee will respond. As I don't think Ted does them all.
No, I'm talking about the general discussion on the budget.
Oh, okay,
You know, that
gotcha.
in the first 2 or
Kind
3
of
articles.
Okay.
This is what the
That's
budget looks
important.
like, this is why,
This is where we are, this is how the budget's coming together this year.
this is
where we'll
why
end up.
the budget is coming together this year, you might.
You know, either that we're pleased, in general, that we're pleased or we're sad.
Mhm.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember the free cash from last year, but I don't remember it being at 340,000.
Oh,
No, it was in the 100,000.
Like
It's like
173,
140.
less than that even, okay.
I think by the time we got the annual, it was less than 150.
So some of this is just what we've been doing, probably save some money in here, but I think it's some of those payments from Irene have come through. And that's what's making this little, providing the opportunity for
See,
some of that.
David is so sure that this $300,000 number is something,
Was it 160 or 106 in free cash?
the ending balance was 106.
106.
The ending.
Okay, from last year's.
Yeah, free cash has been low, stabilization has been low for a few years.
It's the
Um,
first
and
time in
I-
several years where it
I
was
know
up.
some of it is FEMA money or MEMA money, but some of it may have been because we got a payment for, was it the ice storm in the last year that we weren't expecting at all.
25% more
25%.
on the
Okay.
12 and a half.
So that would have been money already really off our books.
That we had already spent out of pocket for that ice storm.
I think so.
Yeah, very good.
That would make sense.
So good, good. I think we've done pretty well on this. Next week's meeting,
Yes.
I don't think it needs to be terribly long, but I think we have some things that we've been ignoring that we need to take up. We have, our friend Mr. Roberts is coming in.
We have 2 appointments so far. One is Steve Goodgeon, Bear Swamp Orchard, application for winery, farmer's market. And then Roberts Brothers.
Now, the nature of the Roberts Brothers one, is that warrant in executive session?
No, the Roberts Brothers is coming to talk about, he and somebody else, about a grant application for a gasifier.
Oh, okay.
The Economic Development Incentive Program.
And what's, just so I understand what's happening, what's he coming to us for?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, except that he's got a business partner that they want, you know, Lenny's had this deal about generating some power and using the waste out of the sawmill to do that, and I think it's turned into a bigger project than, this is from the information that Mary had it. The only thing I think of, it's a bigger project than Roberts Brothers is able to tackle, so there would be some type of partnership.
Well, I think the partnership to how, somebody who might relocate or to use the wood chips, and yeah, that's a partnership maybe in this economic development program application. I didn't press
I got an idea.
too many details.
Right, I think it's gonna be one of these deals looking for support for a grant.
Okay.
Renewable energy territory.
And then we may have a sewer commissioner come, just to answer any questions you might have about the
I
loan,
think-
or may not.
I think we should ask one of them to be here.
I did
Because
ask,
if
I
there's-
did ask Betty.
If there's one, or
No, I mean, I asked Betty either if she could come or one of them, but I haven't heard back who can come.
if there's a single article on this warrant that we're probably the foggiest about,
Yep.
it's that one. That has to do with the energy credits.
So I did ask the day after the last meeting, and I just haven't heard back.
We don't have any warrants, we got that out of the way.
Under other business, I just have discuss annual town meetings. Might want to talk about it.
Maybe make room in the appointments for Ted.
Not Ted, right?
If they've got some issues that they want to discuss with us, or that he would want to represent the finance committee on that, or,
That's a good idea.
I think just,
We can always,
we can just, not that anybody's gonna change their opinion, but it's good to have a little warm-up bout.
And you think we'll meet in the small room? Do you want me to write that down on
That's right, this will be set up for elections.
yeah, and it'll be all completely moved around.
I don't see why we can't get away with that.
If we suddenly have a large crowd, move upstairs.
You guys will have to squeeze in.
Or stay home.
Gee, that would be a shame.
I think we're supposed to
You
invite
don't-
the public,
you don't-
not send them away.
You don't have to go home, but you can stay here.
Come on, I'd let it be.
All right. I got one thing before we leave that I'd like you to think about. I'm thinking not in May, but probably in June. I think it's really important that we prioritize, have some kind of mechanism to get projects that we need to be working on as the town kind of prioritize. And that's more than just the select board. And I really think that maybe in June, early part of June, before we go to every other week or whenever we decide, whatever we decide to do on that, is to have a night, not necessarily a select board night, but where the select board can meet maybe with one representative from a number, if not all, the boards and so forth, or commissioners and that sort of thing, to have an open discussion about what they think are priorities, looking at forward. I mean, we need some short-term priorities and some longer-term priorities so we can all kind of feel like we're pulling on the same set of shafts instead of having people come in a couple times a month from different, boy, I need this and I need that, or, so I thought maybe that would be a good event going forward. But just, it wasn't on the agenda, but it's something I'd like you to think about.
Might be a good time too to share, because although there's items on the warrant, there's that retaining wall. There's the dump. There's the dam. And those three items in and of themselves are expensive items that not everybody, maybe
Is
after
aware of.
annual town meeting, but before town meeting, is not necessarily aware of, that yeah, if anybody's got any ideas about getting grants for any of these, don't hesitate, let us know, kind of thing. So there might be some information we could share as well as.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure of the mechanics of it and how it would work, but I think it would be kind of going around the table. And ultimately, I think it's the select board that has to prioritize, what's a want and what's a need. But, yeah, I think that's a good point, is to let the other people know that, well, you'd like this, but they need that, and we need this.
I don't know what it means if the dump gets a worse rate, not the dump, the dam. What happens if that whole business with the dam, we don't get to make adjustments and
Get
it
it back
gets
to
a
suitable
lower
status.
rating?
Right.
I mean, do they tell you, you've got to gently open gates, let all the water out until you fix that dam? Can you imagine what that would do for a summer?
I'm almost afraid to ask the question, but I do feel that our insurance premium would go up if our categories continues to decrease. But yeah, if you ignore it, then at some point, something like that would be like a cease and desist order,
Well, if you ignore it too long, a $200,000 project
Turn it
inevitably
around.
turns into a $2 million
Yeah.
project.
Right. I think this will come out.
We remember that.
Well, and hey, let's call a spade, is that a lot of times communities let things get so bad that then they do come up with a state program to help you get it back together. I mean,
Yeah.
and that was state and federal money that was used, mostly state money,
To build it.
to get that all redone.
Yeah.
But I think, a certain amount of maintenance does go a whole long way.
Right.
I plan
I mean,
to.
we can't, one of the things we could prioritize is fix this floor underneath you, Paulette, so that you're not.
So the one thing you don't turn, I'm not here because of this. I think I'm going to move the table forward, how's that, and get out of the low spot.
So anyway, that was an idea that I wanted to kick around that we can think about.
I do have something in the back of my mind that relates to, there's another FERCog open meeting law seminar.
Yeah, I was hoping to bring the letter for you tonight. I thought I'd bring it next
May
week for
15th.
you guys to sign. It's on the
And I
May
think,
15th, or I can just send something out this week.
no, I
if you
think we
wanted
need to strongly encourage new people to boards as per the election and to the chair of all the boards, that let your people know this. But the new people absolutely have to know it. People are walking in unaware of open meeting law. It should almost be mandatory. But I wouldn't make it mandatory, but we highly encourage it. And I think a letter from this select board or from the chair would carry more weight than the executive administrator. I think it's very important that people all be trained on coming in. And I think it's a good refresher course. I plan to go to this one because the folks from the AG's office are going to be there, and you don't get them to teach all the time.
And it's on their website, and it even says, and they list who maybe should attend, and and the public's invited. So they've got it open to anybody who's interested.
I must say that the couple in the last year, Ashfield was well represented at
It
both.
was. I'm just saying it's a dynamic process that you got to keep reinforcing.
But people are pretty good about turning out for it.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
But we should get on their radar now,
I
I
was going
think.
to say, how would you like to do it? Would you like me to send just a notice from me telling them it's there and then follow up with something?
If
from
it's
the
all right with this board, I'll work up a letter for you to sign, Tom, and us to approve at the next meeting, or if you want to put all 3 signatures, I don't care.
Maybe that's the thing to do.
What's that?
That all 3 of us are in support of
Mhm.
people attending.
It's a good idea.
So I'll work something up unless you'd rather do it, I'll let you.
No, please do.
So
Great idea.
it just because with everything else, this sort of, do you want me to send out something this week, just reminding people it's there, and then the letter will go
No,
out?
I
or
think
just
that
wait?
one letter will be enough.
All right,
That one letter, and then we can attach the announcement from FERCog, which I also have a PDF of, and it'll all go out at once, and that way we're not inundating email accounts.
So you'll send it out Monday the 6th?
Yeah.
After the election. So you'll send it to all the, any new
Oh, to the
people?
new ones, I see.
But
Okay, I
they-
was thinking I would send it the 30th, but wait and send it once we know who the new people are.
Yes.
That'll be an effort to click all those new emails, but maybe they'll share them easily.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what is the big race? The big race is Board of Health, right?
That's the big race.
Did they come up with the other person for the sewer commission?
No.
Because they had an empty spot.
So they'll be.
So then maybe, Tom, I feel differently. Maybe I think that if I have the letter ready for next week, if it's only 1 or 2 people more who are going to be running, let's get it out to people next week, because I think it'll get on their calendars. That week will buy some time.
Well, and then what I can do is have it held aside and send it individually to anyone who is new, who didn't get it before.
It's only going to be 1 or 2 people.
Yes, because people's schedules get busy, and if
Right.
you don't get ahead of it,
Get on it.
you don't get an opportunity to say, oh, if I knew before, but I
Good.
didn't do it.
I'll have it ready for next meeting.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous at what time? 9:55. We get out of here before 10 o'clock. We don't want that to get around.
I'll see it's published.
You see that it's published?